David, you shared with us today how some of your own research takes some of the Damon and Benson notions, some of their insights, but actually drives it into some categories that align with our theological resources. Would you share some of your own research, where it came from, and the insights that it's led to?
Yes, I want to back up just a minute and talk about the context for my research. Mm-hmm. Back in the early 90s, the Lilly Endowment sponsored a number of pilot projects, theological programs for high school youth. And the first project was at Emory University, and I was fortunate enough in my doctoral program to work on the staff there, and then later came back as the director of research there. And over the course of 4 years, we did a number of interviews with teenagers, about 70 interviews, and we found at the time we did not know about Damon and Benson, but what we discovered was that we were seeing some corollaries to their work, and specifically, we found that young people, as they're thinking about their future and envisioning their future and planning for their future, they're motivated in 4 different ways. They're motivated by desire. In other words, some young people when they think about the future, they think about the goodies of life. They think about possessions. They think about status and fame, wealth, and for them, life is unfolds toward that end. And so they organize all of their efforts towards accomplishing the good life in that sense. So desire is what drives them. Secondly, we found another group of young people who are motivated by compassion. They have, in one context or another, witnessed great suffering. And that suffering has moved them and in some cases broken their hearts, such that they cannot not respond. And so for them, the question is, how do I organize my life in such a way to respond to the brokenness that I've witnessed? And so that's a second profile. The third profile that we discovered at YTI is joy. And what I mean by that is we discovered a group of young people who have identified some signature gift that they have. For some of them it was art or singing or athletics or administration or leadership or any number of other things that they were really good at and that their community has affirmed them in. And so for them, for which they also expressed great joy in these gifts, in and through these gifts. And so for them, the question becomes, how do I organize a life around this gift that has brought me such joy? And so that's the third profile, joy. And then the fourth profile, we found a group of young people who weren't so much moved by the heart in ways that so they could speak about joy or compassion. But for these young people, they had a conceptual vision. In other words, they had been awakened to systems of environmental degradation or systems of racial injustice or gender injustice and or economic political injustice. And so someone had helped them, whether it was a parent or a teacher or a youth minister or a camp counselor, someone had helped them see how our lives are circumscribed by these powers and principalities and systems. So for them, the vocation became, how do I live responsibly within the context of these systems? And so responsibility became the coil spring for those groups. And so looking at these 4 profiles, it ultimately became evident that we were seeing what Benson and Damon referred to as sparks. We were seeing these coil springs that was driving the vision and vocation of these young people.